I didn't understand it at first. Not what he gave her. That part was obvious. A dry, uneven stick, still carrying bits of bark that flaked onto her dress as she turned it in her hands. It was the timing that confused me. The way the room had just finished clapping for the previous gift, something wrapped, expensive, photographed, and then shifted so easily into laughter, as if this made sense. My daughter looked at me, not upset, just checking. Children do that. They don't react until they know how to read the room. So I gave her a small smile. Not approval, just stability. She nodded slightly and looked back down at the stick. "It's from the yard," my father said, leaning back like he'd done something clever. "Kids these days don't need all that expensive nonsense." A few people laughed again, softer this time, but enough to keep the moment afloat. He didn't say her name. He didn't need to. The comparison was already sitting in the room between her and the others, between what was given and what was withheld. I watched her thumb trace a crack along the wood, careful, curious, trying to find the intention in it. There wasn't any. Or maybe there was, just not one meant for her. I didn't say anything, not because I didn't have something to say, but because I knew how this worked. My father didn't argue. He explained. And somehow, explanation always sounded like truth to everyone else. "Other kids," he added casually, gesturing toward the pile of opened gifts across the room, "they appreciate things more." There it was. Not loud, not cruel in tone, just decided. I felt something shift in me, not sharp, not explosive, just a quiet recognition, like finally reading a sentence you've seen your whole life but never fully processed. My daughter placed the stick beside her, gently, like she didn't want to disrespect it, just in case. She didn't ask any questions. That was the part that stayed with me. I stood up, adjusting my sleeve, and stepped out of the room. No one stopped me. The laughter had already moved on to something else. In the hallway, I checked my phone, not because I needed to, but because I needed a second to settle my face into something neutral. There are moments where reacting feels like giving someone exactly what they expect. This wasn't one of those moments. So I waited. And then, about 30 minutes later, the doorbell rang. I was closer than anyone else, so I answered it. Two people stood there, one in a pressed uniform, the other holding a clipboard, polite, composed. "Mr. Kareem?" the man asked. I nodded. "We're here regarding the community partnership event. We were told you'd be present." I stepped aside and let them in. The room noticed immediately, not because of who they were, but because of how they carried themselves. The kind of presence that doesn't ask for attention but receives it anyway. Conversations thinned, chairs shifted. My father stood up halfway, unsure whether to approach or stay seated. The woman with the clipboard smiled at me first. "We've been trying to finalize the speaker list," she said. "Given your role with Punjab Child Development Initiative, we wanted to confirm your availability before publishing." There was a pause, not long, but long enough. I felt the room tilt, not dramatically, just enough to change how people were standing in it. "I'll be there," I said simply. She nodded, making a note. "And the donation materials you arranged, they've already made a significant impact. We'd like to acknowledge that during the event." I gave a small, polite smile. "That's not necessary." "It is," she said gently but firmly. Behind them, I could see my daughter watching from the edge of the room. Not fully understanding, but sensing something had changed, my father cleared his throat. "You didn't mention any of this," he said, not accusing, just off balance. I looked at him, not with confrontation but with the same calm I'd held all evening. "There wasn't a reason to," I replied. The uniformed man extended his hand to me. I shook it, brief, professional. Then they left. The door closed, and with it the last bit of movement in the room. No one laughed this time. No one rushed to fill the silence. It just stayed. I walked back to my daughter and sat beside her. The stick was still where she had placed it. I picked it up, turning it over once, then set it aside. From my bag, I pulled out something small, a thin box, wrapped simply. I hadn't planned to give it here, but plans change. She looked at it, then at me. "For you," I said. She opened it carefully. Inside was a set of colored pencils, nothing extravagant, but chosen, Thought about. Her face didn't light up dramatically. It softened. That was enough. Thank you, she said quietly. I nodded. Around us, the room slowly restarted but differently. Quieter, more aware. My father sat down again, adjusting his posture like he was trying to find the version of himself that fit this new arrangement. He didn't apologize. I didn't expect him to. Some things don't resolve in a single moment. But as I stood up and reached for my daughter's hand, I realized something had shifted anyway, not in him, in me, and that was enough to leave early.